Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to game number 2 in our best of 3 series between Blues and Gameslayer.
Wow, there are some amazing spots.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
I've seen them. They're pretty good.
Amazing spots in this map. I mean, an amazing scavenger spot, an amazing robotic spot.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they want to do with this.
But they're two, right? So
yeah.
You might as well wait unless you have a real strong preference.
Yeah, unless you have a real good reason not to.
I'd hate to allow the second player to be scavenger, though. That's scary.
Oh, I know, right? Like, I don't think, even with those fantastic tiles over there, the iron aluminum going on, it would be so risky just to found first as robotic on top of that. Like, what are you going to do? You're just going to get power surged, and that's going to be
I feel like the first player has to be scavenger, just kind of at like the 1 to 2 o'clock point on that crater, which means you'll protect the high aluminum and the 2 carbons.
Yeah. Oh, it's just... I'm wondering if you can rearrange yourself to actually block off those tiles as scavenger.
Well, that's true. Like, you could block off those...
and still have the tiles that you need blocked off as well. Or maybe you just found scavenger literally right over there and you take the tiles anyway, right?
You stop those.
You just take those as straight aluminum with a little bit of iron as well, rather than worrying about, like, you're a little short on aluminum, but you've cut off access to those. And both players waiting for no debt once again. They want some extra cash if they're going to be forced to found first.
Well, I'm not surprised. It's 2 amazing spots, so...
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. I have no idea how to value this. Gameslayer is going to do it, and he's going to go expansive on it. Wow.
Let me see the scavenger. Yep. All right. Oh, the one that he better grab that other one. No, he's going for the adjacency instead.
He is going for the adjacency.
I would go for the 2 high. That way you can't get them both knocked out at the same time.
I'm okay with it because he founded second. Now, how I would have approached this situation was probably founding first about when Gameslayer did, founding south of where he did, protecting the carbon tiles, blocking the aluminum, taking at least one of them, and then spreading my carbon claims, because you had 2 separate high tiles. Well, so they just can't hit you anywhere.
Where would you have founded?
Like a little south of Gameslayer.
Well, he may not have been able to.
No, Gameslayer definitely was able to. I'm saying if I had been founding first, that situation. Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think founding first as scavenger would have been totally reasonable. I'm surprised the Gameslayer let him do it. I just felt like the first found absolutely should have been scavenger. But I guess we'll see.
Gameslayer really paying attention, though. Like, he took those tiles, and what he's gone and done is we see him splitting his steel mills, as we talked about potentially doing the last game. And he has already pre-purchased a large amount of iron, which kind of drives that price up, or appears to drive that price up for Blues, basically, which may encourage Blues to do something like try and shut down his metal mines. But even doing that, Gameslayer can still churn through that stockpile of iron he has, keep producing that steel that he wants, without any trouble whatsoever.
Yeah. Is there an underground nuke? There is underground nuke here.
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's a possibility.
Blues just bought it the moment I said that. I mean, he did.
Yep. Blues wants to take it, for sure.
Yep. And I think it's already been hit on that wonderful tile.
Yep, that strong, medium, low tile.
That's a good play. You know, that seems very reasonable.
It is a lot of resources away from Gameslayer, for sure. Unfortunately, I don't know. He already has a lot of those resources, though. Makes things very, very strange. However, it is worth noting that already Gameslayer has been pushed to the point where he is churning through iron rather than stockpiling it. Yeah.
I like splitting the steel mills, but it's interesting. You look at them; they're both net revenue 7.
Yeah, they're not making a lot of money right now without those adjacency bonuses. But that is a little bit deceptive because Gameslayer had that very large stockpile of iron, so effectively they were making more money than they appeared to.
Gameslayer is actually negative in iron, and he's just building another steel mill. Interesting. I also don't know. I don't feel like Blues should have gone for the second aluminum mine. I mean, aluminum.
That was a lot of aluminum to be taking. I agree.
I mean, the only way to justify it is essentially like it's adjacent to your colonies or your HQ, so you're going to use it for something else eventually. But like, it's actually net negative if you include power.
Right. Well, and you can also tell Blues is just struggling to actually make money right now.
Yeah.
He does have the upgrade, which is important.
And there's only one Gameslayer got the one high water tile.
Yeah,
that's good.
Well, Blues, what did he get for water? He does have a high water tile as well.
Oh, he does. Where is it?
It's off to the west of Blues.
Oh, that is high. Oh, you're right.
That is high.
All right. So that's reasonable. And Blues got the one high silicon. No, there's another high silicon farther east.
But still, he's already well established on that, and he is going to move into glass furnaces with it. So that could be nice for him.
Yeah, interesting. Glass is higher than. How are we doing on glass? A glass furnace would net you 23 right now, which is good but not amazing.
Well, with adjacency, he's on 54, which is working out pretty well for him. Is there anything more valuable than glass to be making right now? Somehow I doubt it.
It's probably the top.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, it's probably glass.
Because of the price of water, food, and the reactors are not amazing.
Ooh, that might hurt Gameslayer pretty badly, actually. That's not what he was looking for.
The iron shortage, you mean?
Well, the iron shortage is just going to make it hard for him to make steel. You can see Blues is actually past him now.
Yep.
In upgrades. He very quickly got from 3 to 4. That's all that carbon just flying in, really.
Man, that triangle of carbon. What's he making in carbon? He's making
7 a second. Yeah, wow. Ridiculous. And he did transition out of the aluminum and on into electrolysis at this point for the most part. He's got those reactors down.
Is someone sitting on the Goon Squad? I don't see one on the map.
Gameslayer's got one on his steel mill.
Oh yeah, it's under the, I can't see it under the auction.
Yeah.
Ironically, those buildings are turned off.
Well, we got that shortage going on right now. He's not going to be making any money from steel after something like that. Good power surge onto the electrolysis for Blues. Unfortunately, he hadn't committed to all of it just yet, so he will have one building functional.
He had that lead. He really should have grabbed a Goon Squad at that point.
Yeah, I think Goon Squad out of Blues might have been a good idea instead of upgrading immediately. He could have afforded to kind of shift into that if he wanted to. Wow, forcing Gameslayer to commit to another iron tile.
If I was him, I would have grabbed. If I was Blues, I would have grabbed a Mutiny. Maybe grabbed one of that aluminum iron tile from Gameslayer. Because when you're scavenger, it's great to be able to use the black market items early that make you money, so that they can actually be an investment. Like that's what I really would like to see. You know, use your black market cooldown to your advantage. Similarly, you could have used. Well, is he shipping anything? He's just shipping water. Yeah, or pirates. Pirates on the water. Either one. Either mutiny the iron, or pirate the water.
Yeah, there is some work to be done with the black market at this point if Blues wishes to do it.
It's barely been used. I mean, it's just sitting there, no cooldown.
And I don't know what's holding him up. He's got the water for it. Oh, there he goes. He wants to do something. It is interesting how in the 1v1, like people, I kept hearing people say for a really long time that claims were good, and now finally, like nobody buys claims anymore in 1v1. You don't have that kind of time. Don't be crazy. You know?
Yeah, it is amazing that $3,000 is not worth it for a claim, because it just seems like a claim is the most amazing thing. But oh man, come on, buy that mutiny and take the geotherm, take the aluminum iron. Wow, aluminum's $40. I mean, that's a good play now.
Well, yeah, no, I like it. It's good stuff. I would almost. I'm sorry, what was that?
Was there a shortage?
I don't think so. I think it was just both players tearing through upgrades. Honestly,
or steal the water, something. Use your black market, Blues.
Gameslayer has gotten another Goon Squad up. Blues may be a bit nervous about running into those, honestly. Obviously, Pirates won't. Oh, here we go. No, that's Gameslayer. Getting another nice power surge out.
Yep. Put the Goon Squad his aluminum iron mine. So,
very sensible thing to do. I do like how they clarify between aluminum and iron now. I don't think they used to do that. Just want to point that out. Yeah. There have been times when I had like an iron aluminum tile and it just showed iron, and I was like, oh, that's sad. What if it showed both? All right, Gameslayer has caught up to HQ level 5 now.
Yeah. Chemicals
are interesting. You got to be careful with chemicals in the 1v1 because realistically, nobody is consuming chemicals. Like nobody. Nobody's got time for that.
Yeah, I would only go into chemicals if I knew I was going to use them. I mean, glass is negative. To be fair, glass is negative right now. So is electronics. So certainly they're making more money.
Don't think Blues is expecting to run into a goon squad with that power surge.
Well, chems are negative too. I don't know what's the deal with these chem.
Yeah,
those should be reactors or farms, not chems.
Well, I think part of it was that he already had reactors down. Yeah. His opponent was already in farms. Like maybe trying to just find some place that he can exist where his opponent isn't. Now, kind of a big deal at this stage of the game, by the way. Gameslayer has used up all his claims, and all I see for power out of him right now is one geotherm that he picked up in an auction.
Yep.
So we may be seeing a classic Gameslayer move this game.
Oh, he's already down to sea level debt. I was about to bring up the debt.
Yeah, yeah. And Blues has pushed to an Offworld.
Oh,
he's gotten that established at this point. The Goon Squad is already protecting it. It looks like it's... No, did he just cancel that?
He must have hologrammed it.
He canceled it. He straight up killed it.
That's weird.
Like, I'm not seeing it anymore when I'm looking at Blues. I don't think I'm crazy. Like, he's got the resources for it.
Okay, it's back out again. I don't know what happened.
He might have stopped it for one moment so he could make a transition of his glass furnaces. So he stops it, he gets his reactors down, and then he goes back into it. I'm a little concerned about that, but...
Well, the price of water is making food and reactors awesome right now. Like, you should be out of all of the glass chemicals.
That's what it was. It was a mistake. Okay.
What does that mean?
It looks like he lagged out and kind of ended up hitting an incorrect button because of it.
Okay.
This is when that scavenger advantage may play a pretty crucial role, though.
Yeah.
This phase of the game that's this close. Oh, and a power shortage. Oh, that's going to be crazy, potentially. Gameslayer, you have got to put down.
Use that mutiny.
Tell me those are solar panels, because they look like reactors or something right now. Those are reactors.
Reactors, which use even more power. Use your mutiny, Blues.
Does he have one right now? I mean,
his cooldown is off right now. A mutiny is $3,500.
Oh, he could be
wipe out Gameslayer by taking that geotherm. The geotherm is making 500 a second.
That would be kind of amusing in terms of debt. He's got it. He's got the mutiny. He's good to go. Interestingly enough, he hasn't bought a spy yet, and that's definitely something I would like to do if I were Blues right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 3,000. Find out if it's Goon Squad.
Also, let's see. Both Offworlds are up, but not functional. Oh, yeah, Gameslayer's trying to launch, but doesn't have the cash. Blues has started his launch first.
Yep.
So Blues still with a pretty hefty lead, in my opinion, at this point. Obviously, he doesn't have...
I mean, now Gameslayer cannot protect himself.
Gameslayer can't protect himself. He's got one last Goon Squad. He got a nuke thrown at that, it looks like.
And go for the geotherm, because if you get it, it means Gameslayer is going to be stuck in D-debt for the rest of the game. And then you know he can't defend himself again.
Yeah, that's pretty... That might make things very, very, very difficult for Gameslayer. He did get back up to sea levels, but now he's having to spend money on that instead of having that money to commit into Blues. His stock price is lower. Even with this expansive advantage, Gameslayer's been having trouble making actual good use of it and keeping all of his tiles doing something productive at this point in the game. Now, Gameslayer
did a very good move.
Did get into solar panels, finally. Those were going to be reactors for a moment, and I was like, what is going on? Why in the world would you put down reactors? But instead, now we're looking at solar panels.
Yeah, he went from D to B. He was making 1,500 a second off of power.
I love this out of Blues. Blues is getting purchased, and he doesn't even care. He's like, nope, I'm just going for it. But Gameslayer did get to 5. So we are going to have our longest game in a while.
Yeah, Blue still has his mutiny. He never did use it.
Just disappointed in you.
Oh, but Gameslayer got to 50%. Wow.
He got to it.
All right, we'll see. I mean, it's possible, you know.
I have no idea what's going to happen now.
Yeah, Gameslayer could win. Man, that was close. He actually had 100%.
Yeah, but he couldn't quite push through all 6 before Gameslayer got it established. Exactly. Now, we do have Blues holding on to currently 2 nukes and 1 mutiny. Gameslayer, on the other hand, is sitting on 2 mutinies from these guys passing things back and forth on top of Goon Squads. Nobody has a Goon Squad purchased yet. However, we might be in an interesting position where Gameslayer is having to pay dearly for having protected his steel in the early game.
Yeah.
Because his Goon Squads are so much more expensive.
Yep, 16,000 versus 25,000.
All right, water engine. Not a bad pickup for 9,000, certainly, even with fuel kind of cheap. Kind of insulates you from weird things happening. And here the underground nuke's actually coming out Where did that one land? I expected it on this water. That does look like we've got 2 hits on water. So Gameslayer now has a low, and a trace, rather than, I believe, a high, probably a medium.
Does that have to do with off-world prices? It looks like, reactors or oxygen is $5.45 off-world, so I assume that's what they're shipping. Or food. Well, both food and oxygen are great.
Yes,
so.
that would have been a good thing to look at. Gameslayer has pushed to a second off-world at this point. He's got that constructing, and so that'll allow him to utilize that other Goon Squad.
I don't know about nuking those waters on ice. That seems like not the best use of your.
Dirty rat trying to break our stuff.
To me, if Blues loses, I think he fumbled the game away when he did not mutiny that geotherm, because Gameslayer went from D to B in the matter of a minute by riding that power. Blues was in a position to take advantage of the power shortage, but it eventually went to Gameslayer because he got those solar panels up and was not hit by a power surge, wasn't hit by a mutiny. Blues let Gameslayer take that.
Yeah, that is quite possible this game. It's hard to say exactly what would have happened in that circumstance.
I mean, if you see your opponent hit D dead, you have to do everything you can to make sure he stays there.
It would be nice to keep him there, yes. Perhaps a bit more aggression on that front could have been beneficial for Blues.
I mean, Gameslayer has 2 offer markets up now. I mean, this could go to Gameslayer easily.
Now, Blues still does have that I am a scavenger advantage, but unfortunately for him, you kind of do have like 3 slots taken up by things that aren't going to be, really 4 things, that aren't going to be useful in these circumstances. You've got claims, holograms, spies, and pirates. Spies can get a little work done, but a lot of the time you can kind of pay enough attention to play around Goon Squads without the spy in the 1v1.
Yeah, oh man, he mutinied. He's got 3 offer markets now.
Well,
I think Gameslayer is going to take this game.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about the fact that Blues has not managed to push into an additional off-world, and he's really nowhere close to it at this point.
Yeah.
Is the biggest deal. He's not there. I would have maybe even loved to see him sell away from Gameslayer, realize he wasn't going to get there, and just immediately get that second off-world down.
Yeah. I mean, it should have been Goon Squad. I don't know how, as a scavenger, he let his offer market be unprotected. There's really no excuse. And power surges are only 7,000. I mean, he's just not making good use of the black market.
Yeah, nukes flying around everywhere. These guys really.
Yeah, nukes are not valuable at this point. It's not where you want to be spending your black market.
And these mutinies, and I think it's also a super, super, super big deal. Like, I think the actual turning point for this game that is going to hand it to Gameslayer in the long run is the fact that Blues, rather than committing to his 1 assault on a single off-world, allowed Gameslayer to get some benefit out of his second Goon Squad by attacking the second off-world. Not realizing that was defended, 1 simple spy purchase for $3,000 could have cleaned all that up. No confusion whatsoever. Or 2 spy purchases for $750 or $7,500. He could have known about both of them very, very simply, known when and where to strike. But when you hand over a mutiny at this phase of the game, when your mutinies are costing you, $30,000 to $50,000, that kind of thing is something you absolutely can't afford. And I think we're going to see Blues get punished by it, by getting knocked out of the series in just a minute here.
Wow, how many games do you see where one player gets to 100% and then ends up losing? It's not
very many. Majority buyout keeps things interesting,
Yeah, he just didn't use the black market well enough.
The off-world is coming up for Blues now, but I think it's going to be way too little, way too late. Gameslayer's already at 66%.
Yep.
And I don't see a lot that can happen to save Blues here.
I mean, mutiny one of Gameslayer's off-worlds. That's all I can think of. Oh, it's already at 60,000 for him. Wow.
All right, that's a power surge. That'll shut down one of them for a long time.
Yeah, you should have done that a long time ago.
Yeah, I definitely like that play.
And you're right, should have made use of the spy, absolutely. I mean, if he had a spy up on both of those off-worlds, he could have done whatever he wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? Like, imagine being able to use a mutiny to take an off-world, knowing that there's no Goon Squad there. That's huge.
Yeah. For sure. Obviously, you still have to fight through your opponent's mutinies, but that's going to do it. Gameslayer ready for that launch. And he is going to go ahead and be the one to clean it on up. It was an interesting game, but oh man, the biggest difference, look at that. 3 launches for Blues, 11 for Gameslayer. That'll just do it.
Yeah. Well, he had his opportunities, that's for sure. I mean, this will be remembered. This is a memorable game for sure. I feel bad for Blues, especially since I wanted to see a game 3.
I was ready for that game 3. Gameslayer, I don't know what happened, but he turned it on today in a way that wasn't there a few days ago.
I thought he was dead when he hit D, because at that point you can't buy goon squads. You know, you got to get aggressive when you see your opponent hit level D. He was in level D with a power shortage. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, sounds like Blues. His head just wasn't in it after he scrapped his own Offworld accidentally.
Yeah, I don't think that was a major factor.
Well, he didn't lose. It wasn't a major factor in terms of the game, but just from looking in chat, it was a major factor in him being able to focus on the rest of the game at that point. He let that get in his head.
Yeah,
is what it sounds like, and that definitely affected what he was up to.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, there's no way around that.
It is. It was maybe only about 15 seconds. It would have been nice, though, to be able to be secure in that off-world lead. Understand that, yes, I am ahead, even if it is just by moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, Blues is a really good player. I was
no doubt about that.
Looking forward to seeing what was going to happen with the match. And we had a great game here with the second one, for sure. I don't know, does Blues normally play Scavenger?
I don't see Blues on Scavenger a lot from what I remember.
Could be that's part of the issue, because if you didn't take the aluminum iron, you basically had to go Scavenger on this map. And if he's just not typically an offensive Scavenger type player, maybe he's just not as comfortable using the black market in the way he needs to be in two-player game. Yeah.
There is also the idea that most of the time, Gameslayer can do a pretty good job closing out a game in the late game.
Yeah.
In particular, whereas Blues, one thing I've seen in my FFAs with him at least, he will struggle in the late game a lot of the time.
Well, what I've seen Blues' strength be is really creative play. I've seen him do some really unusual things in four-man games. I remember that one game where he built 5 geotherms and was able to pull it off. It's I believe that was Blues. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in two-man, it's just two-mans are just so tight.
There's no room for that,
Yeah.
It's just
But yeah, I mean, that was a good series.
It was a good series. It was nice to see that that second game in the series really pushed to the later stages. Gameslayer does come out on top, but at least we got to see how that basic setup will continue with 2 really, really strong players moving into that late section.
It'd be interesting to see if other players adopt the split steel mills that we saw from Gameslayer here.
Yes, that was definitely something. He did have the advantage of the super tiles working in his favor, but that was definitely something interesting to see.